This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Yves, make sure you call him because he will definitely take care of you. Good people, as always, at American Dream Lending. And do it now, man. The rates are going to continue to go up. They're not going to go down. They're going to go up. They printed a lot of money. They got to make it back. So call him. All right. How you feeling, my man? You feeling better?
Yeah, I'm doing a little better today, Big O. Thanks for asking. I was kind of not feeling so well for a few days after the combine, being around thousands of people without masks, So, yeah, and on the airplanes.
And you got right. That's the one, dude. I think that's the worst part of anything that we do, Joe, is that plane trip to and from. I just don't ever feel that we have clean environments in those planes, to be honest with you. I don't.
Well, I'm glad that I'll be fine for free agency week. That's obviously the biggest thing we got coming up here with Wednesday, the official start of free agency, but Monday, the day that all the contracts will actually start to leak. So it comes up fast, a lot sooner after the scouting combine than in past years.
Joe, we've talked a lot about receivers that are going to be available. And, this is one of those years. Do you agree that when you go into free agency or even the way you design your draft, you don't have time for development? You've got to find the free agent that you can place and play right away. And you've got to find draft picks that can plug and play right away. So you've got to find a way, like receivers take a while to develop in the draft. So get them in free agency. Offensive linemen take a while to develop from the draft. So go get them in free agency. A linebacker might make an immediate impact from the draft. Let's get him there. A running back might make an immediate impact from the draft. Let's get him there. Do you believe that there might be that kind of a tactic used in free agency / draft this year? Because we're talking about a 9-10 win team that isn't rebuilding.
I do think that you can find receivers in the draft who can make an impact faster than, for example, as you mentioned, at the offensive line position. We've seen receivers have huge impacts in their rookie seasons, including, Jalen Waddle and Jamar Chase last year. Now, there aren't necessarily a Jalen Waddle and a Jamar Chase in this year's draft, but as usual, there are a lot of receivers in the draft, a lot of depth. So you don't necessarily want to overpay for a receiver. Dolphins obviously took a chance on Will Fuller last year. It was a complete bust, but at least it was only a 1-year commitment.
Right.
You really don't want to get stuck with those, 4 or 5 year commitments where 3 of the years are guaranteed. And after 1 year, you're really regretting your decision. So would the Dolphins want to overpay for a Christian Kirk or a Juju Smith-Schuster? Probably not.
How about an Amari Cooper if he gets released?
Yeah, I don't know what the cost would be. I think on an Amari Cooper, you'd obviously like to see the hometown discount.
I think you'd get a little bit of that.
Yeah, and Cooper's a good player. I think the Dolphins will explore the free agency market for receivers. I kind of like DJ Chark out of Jacksonville. Zay Jones might be worth a flyer, maybe a fresh start, a clean look.
Well, I mean, as long as he's not running naked under something there in hotel rooms, and yeah, Zay Jones should be all right. Isn't he the one that did that in Buffalo?
I don't remember.
I think he was running. Google there for me, Zay Jones naked hotel room, something like that. Anyway, so yeah, and he's actually a pretty decent player. I'm with you there. I like but DJ Chark that you mentioned, he would be ideal here. Also, like Cooper, I like that. That would be a guy that would be an excellent one. How about this? How about you? If Cooper is released, I was talking about this. You go get Cooper and you go get Jamison Crowder, and you move Waddle to the outside, and you put Crowder to play the slot, and Cooper and Waddle are your outside guys. How would your receiving core be then?
Yeah, I think of Waddle as a primary slot receiver. I remember Adam Gase when he signed Albert Wilson and Danny Amendola saying, oh, well, they're not both slot guys. We think Wilson is actually better on the outside. Well, it never really kind of came to fruition. Wilson kind of maybe was better as a slot receiver, and even though he didn't have a great Dolphins career. So, look, it's going to be interesting to see how Devontae Parker plays out. Do the Dolphins trade him? That's certainly a possibility. That's been rumored for so long that it shouldn't shock anyone. Well, if they traded Devontae Parker, now you need a bigger bodied receiver to replace him because that guy's not on the roster, right?
No, yeah, he is. His name is Matt Collins.
Well, Matt Collins is also a free agent, so the Dolphins would have
But
to bring him back.
you gotta re-sign him, Joe, right? I mean, that guy helps you out in two areas. Like, and he's big in both areas. Like anytime you call on him in receiving, he comes through. And on special teams, he's always around the damn ball.
Matt
So
Collins is going to sign with the team that gives him promise and hope relative to getting more reps at the receiver position. Mac doesn't want to be perceived as just a special teams, a specialist. And he showed in limited reps last year, touchdowns per reception were as high as pretty much anyone with the Dolphins.
by the way, suddenly they might be back in the market for a wide receiver, helped on base crazy events that transpired in the last 24 hours involving a young player in the 2017 season that wasn't the most ideal debut for him as he managed just 27 catches for 316 yards and 2 touchdowns. It might not be fair to criticize him. TMZ got hold of a video that showed a nude and disturbed Jones getting into a heated argument with his brother Caleb, currently under contract with the Minnesota Vikings. It's unclear whether booze or drugs were involved in the incident, but the fact that Jones attempted to leap out of a window of a high-rise building can safely indicate he wasn't in his right mind at the time.
I feel like there's a lot of guys who either leap out of windows or attempt to leap out of windows.
What the hell is
That
that?
seems to be a thing. I don't really get it. I've never personally leaped out of a window.
Well, I've personally never done drugs so I can leap out of a window. I mean, you're doing the wrong drugs, dude. I mean, how about just having a drink and mellowing out? Okay. Nowadays that it's legal, hey, smoke a joint and chill out, bro. Do a couple things. Whatever you're doing that makes you jump out of windows, those are the wrong drugs, bro. Those are the wrong things. I don't know what it is, but it ain't any of those two things that I talked about. If you just sit down and have a little whiskey shot and relax and enjoy the game, I'm pretty sure you're not going to jump out of a window.
Well, the
You know,
Dolphins have shown they're willing to give guys second chances. So
yeah, yeah, no, I get, and you know what? He hasn't had any missteps, I guess, pun intended, since 2017. So I guess, that's that overall. All right. So what did you read into the Byron Jones? Because it's hard for me to believe the JC Jackson stuff because you're kind of tied to these two guys and they must have known about this injury for a while. So I don't think that surgery or injury was a surprise to the Dolphins, right? Maybe to the rest of us, but not to the Dolphins, right?
I doubt it. Although I don't know. Obviously, this kind of complicates matters. The Dolphins can't really, use uh, Byron Jones and J.C. Jackson as any sort of leverage point for Xavien Howard now. They obviously need to get the Xavien Howard tweaking of the contract done. Look, it makes sense. There's a Josh Boyer, J.C. Jackson connection, but you can't bring in J.C. Jackson unless you're, going to cut or trade Byron Jones, unless it's to, J.C. Jackson to replace Xavien Howard. And I don't think the Dolphins want to trade Xavien Howard, but certainly if the right team came forward with the right offer, we cannot eliminate that possibility. So
That's the one.
J.C. Jackson would be the replacement for Xavien Howard in this scenario.
That I believe.
Right, and so maybe the Dolphins don't mind there being reports that they could be interested in J.C. Jackson.
Yeah, I never believed that Jones was on the block, and I don't believe that they were trying to trade him or anything like. And plus, I think the cap hit is brutal still for Jones at this point. So the one that really is much easier to move, plus you're going to get more in return, is X. So that's the one that I kind of see. Okay, you can do that. I can see something like that. If you're able to trade X, then you open up that opportunity. Have you heard? I know you've been dealing with your cold and stuff, but I'm sure you're still working the texts and all that stuff. Have you heard is if there's any progress with X? Because Joe, it looks like there's some positive vibes, right? Because At this point last year, X is taking shots at Byron Jones and his contract and all that. And there was, open bitterness. There is no open bitterness coming at all from that camp. So that might tell me that there's something progressive going on behind the scenes. Am I reading
Yeah.
it right?
Well, I mean, I haven't heard of any, anything close. I have not heard of anything close. I know that, Xavien and his camp were obviously pleased to hear Chris Greer say that he plans to keep his promise to rework or look at a reworking of Xavien's contract. There's plenty of money to tweak it, so it's just a matter of how much will it take to satisfy him, and I presume that they will be able to at some point come to an agreement. But right now the Dolphins are focused on so much other stuff. I mean, free agency has to be, at the forefront here. Xavien, I don't think they're going to rework Xavien's deal before free agency.
By the way, the Titans have informed Pro Bowl guard Roger Saffold that they are releasing him. This would be the fourth year of a 4-year, $44 million deal that had a $1 million roster bonus due next week for the free agent guard. So you got that guy. You got Lincoln. Well, Lincoln Tomlinson, I think, already is re-signed,
He's a
right?
free agent.
Oh, he is a free agent. Okay, I thought
Feliciano is getting let go by the Bills. I mean, here's the thing.
he's a little older. Yeah,
We can Feliciano, a Miami guy, I think.
Yeah.
We can, and the Miami guys always want to come home. We can look at all the free agents who are available, and it'll be disappointing if the Dolphins are not the highest bidder for Teron Armstead and or Trent Brown. And it'll be disappointing if they're not in on Brandon Scherf and or Laken Tomlinson. It'll be disappointing if they don't offer a lot of money to Ryan Jensen at center. So
the only one I disagree with you is the tackle, because he's so injury prone that I'm all right if you pass on him, because you don't have to be the high. I wouldn't want to be the highest paid for him because he can't play an entire season, and that's a problem for me.
You have three other guys that can play tackle.
I'm with you there. I was with you on all of them except the New Orleans guy. I like him, but he would have to give me a little bit of a discount because of his injury history.
Well, it's not going to be a discount. I mean, he's a proven.
I know.
Proven guy.
But he's also proven to break down. He's also proven to break down. You know what I mean? That's like as much as his agent can say, well, he's a hell of a player, and I can say, yeah, and I also know he can't finish a season. So I'm never paying for a full season for you. So where are we at here? You know what I mean? So if you want me to pay you like a full season player, well, then you got to play like one. And that's the problem there. And so, Joe, if he's going to miss games, what happens is if it's at the end of a season? Like when I saw Tim Hardaway break down a couple times with that Achilles joint, and Pat Riley's like, oh my God, it happened towards the end of the season twice to him, that he loses his starting guard going into the playoffs. And so
it's not like Armstead is 37 years old, but the point I was making is that, you can't just look at the unrestricted free agents. You have to look at the guys that are expected to be cut and are cut due to the salary cap, and guys who are going to be made available via trade due to the salary cap. The Dolphins should absolutely be on those types of guys, especially guards, tackles, and centers.
Yeah. All right. What else do you think is going to happen at free agency for the Dolphins here? What do you think will be the priority from day one?
Left tackle, then center, then a defensive end if they need to replace Emmanuel Ogbah. They will add at least a receiver and a running back. I can't say they're going to spend at the running back position. I just don't know that the philosophy has changed. So as much as I would like them to be in on a Melvin Gordon or a Ronald Jones, I just don't think the organization is going to prioritize that. We'll see. Maybe they do. But, I mean, it's got to be tackle, center, receiver, ideally, guard. I mean,
I'm not a Melvin Gordon guy. He's also another guy, kind of very injury prone. But I'll tell you this. I could see them drafting a guy and signing Raheem Mostert, because Mostert blew out a knee in week 1 last year. So he'll be healthy and ready to go. He knows the system and he fits it perfectly. And so now you tag Savan Ahmed, who came from there. You bring in Mostert, who's not going to cost you a lot of money, and he's 30, 31, so it's a 1 to 2 year deal, and Greer loves those 2 year deals because it gives them flexibility. And then you draft a young guy that will learn from Mostert how to play in the system. I think it might be something along those lines instead.
Yeah, I got no problem with Mostert rejoining head coach Mike McDaniel. But then I want to see them use the 50th pick on a running back.
Exactly.
I don't want to see. Oh well, we'll get to it in the 4th, 5th round.
Right.
One of those 3 kids, whatever it is, Texas A&M, Clemson, Michigan State, whatever those top 3 guys are, one of them.
Right. No, I'm with you.
And I don't know that they're willing to do that. Do you think the Dolphins are willing to use the 50th pick on a running back?
I think they will use one of their first 3 rounds on a running back. Yes, I do. I've been thinking that from the get-go, that one of their first 3 rounds. Now, remember, the X trade may bring extra picks for this year and next year if they do make that. So there may be a possibility to add more draft capital to the team, because if they do trade an X, then they can go after JC or something like that. They can make.
If you trade Xavien Howard, you have to sign one of the top corners in free agency.
Of course,
you can't trade Xavien Howard without having JC Jackson signed.
Yeah. There's no
doubt. So
doubt.
If you sign JC Jackson and you can get a first rounder or more for Xavien Howard, as much as I like X, I understand the thought process.
Yeah, you do the reverse first of all. You first make the trade, then you sign. You can agree with JC, but you don't sign him first, because then you lose all the leverage on X. You got to first make the trade with X, then you sign JC after that. Because
you better have a deal. You better have an agreement in principle.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can have an agreement, but once you sign JC, you lose leverage, because now they know you got to get rid of him. So you got to first make that trade before you sign JC. But I'm with you. That would be a very interesting twist if they do. And I've been on that, where I think they'll move X. And I still wasn't convinced when Chris came out that it was like that they're signing X. He's more like, hey, we're hopeful. We're looking forward to it. We're going to try to get it done. And that's where he kind of left himself open on the back end. So that's where I wonder about all of that. All right, what are you working on the Palm Beach Post?
Well, we're going to look ahead to free agency, certainly continue to discuss and write about which players the Dolphins are most likely to be interested in. We'll dig into the Teron Armstead injury concern that you have. Trent Brown, Ryan Jensen, Derek Barnett, Cordero Patterson, DJ Chark, all names worth discussing as we move forward here for the Dolphins.
Now. You got to add Saffold now to it now.
I will look into Saffold for you.
Well, as you're writing, you're going to be looking at the wire going, damn it, here's another name I got to. So that's going to be like a 7-page article. So I look forward to it.
All right, buddy. Hopefully I feel better when I talk to you next time.
You will. We'll talk to you on Saturday. I'll be with the cigar in hand. You be good and get some Nature B. All right?
All right, I will. Thanks, bud.
Got it. All right, brother. There you go. It is Joe Schad, baby. Follow him on Twitter at Schad Joe. American Dream Lending, Miami Dolphins report.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.